It was a chilly Saturday morning in late October in Portland, Oregon, the kind of morning where the fog still clung to the streets and the trees glowed with shades of amber and gold. I had just poured myself a fresh cup of coffee and was settling into the kitchen nook with the weekend newspaper when I heard a faint knock at the front door. It wasn't unusual for neighbors to stop by, but the knock was followed almost immediately by the sound of the door creaking open. "Hello?" a voice called out, young, familiar, but not my son's. I froze for a second, coffee cup halfway to my lips. My son, Ryan, was away for the weekend on a school camping trip, and I wasn't expecting anyone. I stood up, my heart giving a tiny leap, and walked toward the hallway. Standing there in the entryway, holding a paper bag in one hand and looking slightly out of breath, was Ryan's best friend Ethan. He was a tall, lanky 16-year-old with a mop of sandy blonde hair that always seemed to fall into his eyes. "Ethan," I said, surprised. "What are you doing here? Ryan's not home." "I know," he said quickly, stepping inside and pushing the door shut behind him. I needed to talk to you. It's kind of important." I gestured toward the kitchen. "Well, come on in. You're lucky I didn't still have the security latch on." He followed me, the soles of his sneakers squeaking faintly against the hardwood floor. When we got to the kitchen, he set the paper bag down on the counter. I noticed it was from the corner bakery. "I brought you these," he said. "Cinnamon rolls. I remember Ryan saying they were your favorite." That was true. Ryan often teased me about my sweet tooth. I smiled a little, but I could tell from Ethan's nervous fidgeting that cinnamon rolls weren't the real reason he was here. "What's going on, Ethan?" I asked gently. He hesitated, then ran a hand through his hair. "It's kind of weird. I didn't know who else to talk to. My mom's working double shifts all weekend, and my dad's out of town, and, well, I just needed to get out of my house for a bit." I frowned slightly, concerned. "Is everything okay?" He nodded too quickly. "Yeah. I mean, sort of. It's just been loud. My older brother's friends came over last night, and they were up until 3 a.m. blasting music. I couldn't sleep, and then I woke up this morning feeling like I just needed some air. So I walked here." I could tell there was more to it than that, but I didn't push. Sometimes teenagers needed time before they opened up. "Well, you're welcome to stay here for a while," I said, pouring him a glass of orange juice. "But you probably should have called first. You startled me a little, coming in like that." He looked sheepish. "Sorry. I knocked, but then I remembered you always tell Ryan the door's open for him and his friends. I guess I just took that literally." We sat down at the table, and he dug into one of the cinnamon rolls while I sipped my coffee. After a few minutes, the tension in his shoulders eased, and he started talking more freely about school, soccer practice, and how Ryan was the only one who ever really got his sense of humor. Somewhere in the middle of his story about their last soccer game, I realized this wasn't just about noise at home. Ethan was lonely. With his parents working long hours and his brother wrapped up in his own world, he probably felt like no one noticed when he needed company. "Tell you what," I said, standing up. "I was going to bake an apple pie later today. You can help me if you want." His face lit up in a way that made him look younger than 16. "Really? I've never made a pie before." "Well," I said with a grin, "today's your lucky day." We spent the next couple of hours peeling apples, mixing cinnamon sugar, and laughing at how many times Ethan tried to sneak extra slices of apple into his mouth. The kitchen smelled heavenly by the time we slid the pie into the oven. As it baked, we played a board game from the hall closet, one Ryan and Ethan had played 100 times before. The quiet warmth of the afternoon settled in around us, the kind of peace that made you forget about whatever had been weighing on you. When the pie was finally ready, we each had a slice with vanilla ice cream, and Ethan leaned back in his chair, looking more relaxed than when he'd arrived. "Thanks for letting me hang out," he said. "I didn't realize how much I needed this until I got here." I smiled. Sometimes the best surprises are the ones we don't plan. Later, as he got ready to head home, he turned at the door. "You're kind of like my second family, you know that?" My throat tightened just a little. "You're always welcome here, Ethan. Just maybe knock next time." He laughed, waved, and disappeared down the foggy street, his footsteps fading into the quiet afternoon. I closed the door and stood there for a moment, feeling unexpectedly grateful. Life had a way of sending us little reminders about connection, about kindness, about how sometimes just being there for someone can change their whole day. That Saturday had started like any other, but by the time the sun dipped behind the autumn trees, I realized it had been one of those days I'd remember for a long time. Not because anything dramatic happened, but because of the simple, surprising reminder that sometimes, opening your door to an unexpected visitor can open your heart too.